something that I noticed trending in the social media space. And so I said, you know what? Let's have a little bit of a conversation about this. Let's spend 10, 12 minutes on it and let's make sense of it because there are several different podcasts, both in this space, the hip hop space, the relationship space, and not just podcasts, but content creators as a whole. Every year, we basically get a drop off list, right? Two of them that's been conversation pieces is one called The Bigger Picture and another one called the Need to Know podcast, right? So I'm gonna play a little bit of this one because both of them have announced. One of them on Hip Hop DX, one of them piloted, and one of the hosts is Elliot Wilson, which is a longtime hip hop journalist. And this one, for example.
So this episode is pretty special because we didn't come with an outline.
We got nothing, y'all.
We didn't come with any pre-planned notes, any pre-planned conversations for the most part. But it seems like we're at a crossroads right now, personally, professionally. Yeah. And we're probably going to have to take some time away.
Yeah.
And not really have a clear outlook on what the future looks like.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. Right now, indefinitely, we really don't know what the course of the podcast is looking like. And say, well, let's just be real. Shit is expensive.
That's one aspect.
That's one. Yeah, we could go through all of them because I don't think people really understand what this shit takes, you know, especially when you have so many other things in your life, in your personal life, family, money, career, work, etc. So one thing on the list being it's getting harder and harder to afford keeping the lights on here, to be quite frank with you guys.
Well, let's give them a little bit of insight, Alex.
Yeah,
how about that? Except we want to be transparent, let's be transparent.
We've paid for everything from the jump.
So what you see here, right, is it looks like a creative space. I don't know if they're shooting in a podcast studio, or if they built this themselves in somebody's basement, or if they built it in a building where they got to pay rent for. I see TVs, lights, very high-end microphones, and audio, video looks crisp. Probably spent a lot on cameras, probably got some videographers in the background, some editors, all of that type of stuff. And so when people are saying, hey, man, this is getting expensive, and then the talent wants to get paid, right? The different people, they want to draw a salary. And so podcasting, content creation for a lot of people is no different than any other business that you see popping off. So when people tell you that creating podcasts or businesses are not businesses, don't think for 1 second that that's true. Any business where you generate revenue, when you try to put out meaningful products, content, talking point, whatever you want, whenever you putting out something that you want to get compensated for, it's a business. Trust me. All right. So you see all of this, and a lot of people say, hey man, I want to get this up and I want to start a podcast and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm going to hire some people. I've recently been contacted by several different companies that are asking me to streamline and can they join in on doing this for my show and doing that. And they want to jump into the editor game with me as far as like taking control of things and all of that. And I listen to them because I want to get as much information as possible. And a lot of these companies are actually companies that work with some of your favorite podcasts and stuff. And I want to know what their rates are. And a lot of these companies are taking 20% off top. You know me, I'm going to just tell you the truth. They're taking 20% of everything that we generate, right? Or that they generate. And so I ask them a question and I say, well, let me tell you something. I make a lot of money, literally hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars on a monthly basis. The type of revenue that I'm doing is crazy. What service are you truly offering me to where it would justify me giving you 20% or even 15% of what I'm doing? That do you know what type of number that is? Do you know I'm a businessman first? Before I ever decided to jump on a podcast, I was always a businessman first. You got to make it make sense for me. We're not going to get into those conversations, but let's play a little bit more of what they got to say. And then I'm going to give y'all my thoughts on the whole content creator podcast space.
So obviously, anybody who's been tapping in with us, we've been an independent podcast for the beginning and always have been
since its inception.
Since the inception of the podcast,
Yeah.
Alex and I came together, and every single thing that has happened with the podcast has been funded from us until we got to a point where the business and the podcast was making its own money.
Yeah.
And again, I do want to just highlight all of the supporters, all of the listeners, anybody who's ever clicked, hate click, love click, all of the shit. It all matters and it all has helped. But we've been doing this for a while now, almost close to a decade.
Yeah.
We've seen some of the biggest highs. We've seen some of the lowest lows. We've had different iterations of the podcast. We've been in different studios. We've rented studios. We've bought studios. We've rented equipment. We've bought equipment, right?
Yeah,
we've had amazing people along the way. But I think right now, coming into this year, we made last year. So coming into this year, we made over 6 figures.
Yep.
We made, I want to say, close to last year.
In totality?
As a podcast.
Put everything together.
From ads. If anybody, again, go back and listen. We had maybe 3 to 6 ads per episode.
Remember them Burger King commercials? I mean, McDonald's.
Be respectful of the people that held us down.
Shout out to McDonald's.
It was McDonald's. It was Underdog. It was Walmart. It was Hulu.
Yep.
It was Hennessy. It was Trojan condoms.
Yeah.
It was M&M's. It was a lot of the big brands.
DEI initiatives.
And even before we get to DEI, I just want to kind of paint a full picture for people.
Yeah.
And walk them down how we kind of got here. And again, there's different layers, but let's just start with the financial.
All right, so that's enough. We don't need to get any more. It is what it is. So a lot of these podcasts are going away, and it's funny because they had all of these big sponsors and reads and all of this stuff like that, and they still cannot sustain. They still cannot justify continuing on, and they are dying. And kudos to all content creators and podcasters that have tried, whether they have been successful or not successful. Kudos to all of you, because just like any business, it is a rough business when you don't understand the business. And I didn't even take any sponsorships or anything like that because I felt like it was important for me to prove to myself that I could build a sustainable business model without anybody's help. And not only that, I was one of the earlier pioneers when everybody was telling me, nah, man, Patreon, what is that? Now we 20,000 plus strong on Patreon. And now you see all of the other people trying to jump on the bandwagon. Oh my God, join my Patreon. Oh my God. And that's just funny to me. I think that that's hilarious. But neither here nor there. No, ads are good, Anton, but the numbers still got to speak. I didn't say that ads are bad. I never said that ads are bad. I said that I didn't want to take any sponsorship money because I was unwilling to compromise my platform, and I wanted to build it to a point to where I could say, listen, if you want to do business with me, then you just going to have to get on board. I'm not acquiescing over, nor am I going to compromise how I talk, because I'm not going to let you be in a position to pull anything from me. If you get into this, you're going to have to get into it based off of the fact that I'm him. And so I was willing to take the long road. The same way that I tell y'all all the time. I was willing to take the long road. The Urban X family is back on Thursdays and they are independent. Yeah. And then you have the another group of people, right? Another group of people who are basically being funded, right? And y'all heard me talk about that when I was going back and forth and having conversations with Gilbert Arenas. And, I don't want to take any money from people or companies that I don't necessarily care for as far as how it is that they're affecting the general public. So I don't take any gambling money. I don't take any money from the DraftKings, and they propose and pitch. Of course they did. They want to take advantage of my audience, DraftKings, the FanDuels, the Hard Rock, all of that type of stuff. I'm like, you know what? That's just not really my style. I don't want to do that. I'm not really interested in it. And so I just kind of move to the beat of my own drum, and I do what I want to do when I want to do it. But I don't think that a lot of these people even understand the game. I don't think that they really understand the play. I think that a lot of these podcasts are boring. Not saying that they're boring, but I think that a lot of these people Yeah, the prize picks and all of that. I think a lot of these podcasts are boring, and I also think that they are not innovative enough. And despite the fact that a lot of these places have these huge teams and productions and videographers and producers, and you see all of these people doing all of this stuff, and you see the rappers getting into the game, they do their podcasts, and the athletes and all of this stuff. There's going to be more that fall off. There's going to be some that come. There's going to be some that go, and then some of them will be able to stick around and stay in. And what it really comes down to is you have to have multiple things to be successful in this game as well as in any other game. You just do. You got to have a different type of skin. You got to, not be able to get easily offended. You got to understand how to monetize and where the money is. You got to be able to put your own money up. And I just think that this is a game of endurance, and you got to be able to hold your own. Very few people are even able to do a show by themselves. Matter of fact, hardly nobody can do a show by themselves. Nobody. Absolutely not. Hardly is very. That's why when you see a person like a Candace Owens, you got to give her props, because Candace is a powerhouse that never even needed the Daily Wire. The Daily Wire needed Candace, not the other way around. There are people that are unique that are able to do this by themselves, and they don't need no help. They don't need help. That's why you got to salute those people, regardless of whether you agree with it or not. You got to salute those type of people because they're powerhouses. And I think that there's a group of people that are special, and there's everybody else. It's just the facts. So I don't think that the space, and I hate when people make the argument, well, everybody getting in it, and so it's all, no, that's not why. It don't matter how many people get in it. If you great, you're going to be great. There's great restaurants that open up, and they just going to be packed every single day, and then it's going to be everything else, right? There's phenomenal businesses that open up, and it's going to be popping, and then it's going to be everybody else. Like, it doesn't matter how saturated the space is. If you are great and you are unique in your own right, you will be able to carve out a niche for yourself. And if you are able to sustain while not depending on other people, and then leverage whatever it is that you get outside of that is a cherry on top, you can do it. You can absolutely do it. But it's just not for everybody. Everybody not built for it. Everybody don't need a microphone. Everybody not, it is what it is.